I was born in apartheid South Africa, in a country which said that you cannot succeed. I decided that I wanted to be a sailor. It looked impossible. I became the first black man to race solo around the globe. You are people who are going to change the world every day. But we only do it because of attitude. When we are children, you don't tell your kids, no, you can't do this, and they just roll over and say, sure, Daddy, sure, Mommy, you're right. No. They keep wearing you down. But why, when we become adults, do we take no at face value? When you have a dream in your heart, when you have passion, when you have purpose, nothing in life is impossible. You have heard people talk about someone who carries bags. Today I'm going to tell you about someone who chooses to carry a treasure chest. Yes, a treasure chest. The only difference between bags and a treasure chest are in the content. Ladies and gentlemen, the content is determined by attitude. An attitude that also has a philosophy. I grew up to really believe that in my life, there are no barriers. There are only solutions. I repeat, in my life, there are no barriers, only solutions. And because of this attitude, I have 3 advantages. You're going to wonder, why are there 3 advantages? Be patient. Advantage number 1. I was born in apartheid South Africa, in a country which said that you cannot succeed, a country which limited the belief of people to expand and excel. Advantage number 2. I was born in a working class family. My mother was a school teacher. My father was a factory laborer. My parents did not earn much money, but my parents gave me some very powerful tools. Advantage number 3. You see, I can walk today, but I do not take this for granted because I could not always walk. As a child, I spent a vast portion of my life in a hospital bed. I was only born with 1 hip socket. I spent the first portion of my life in a plaster cast, from my ankle to my chest. If I wanted to see a different view, I required the help of a nurse or a doctor to turn me around. You wonder, why do I call prejudice, financial hardship, a physical disability? Why do I call these 3 things advantages? Well, let me share with you. When you can take some very horrible things in your life and put them behind you and say that they will never hinder me, but they will make me strong. When you have that attitude that in my life there are no barriers, there are only solutions, that is when things become advantages. And with these advantages, with that philosophy, no barriers, only solutions, I ask you, when you woke up this morning, did you wake up smiling? Did you wake up smiling? Yes, because people who wake up smiling are people with goals, with ambitions, with dreams. You are all here because you have goals and you have vision and you will innovate. We are looking for a better tomorrow. We will change the world one day at a time and every day. But we only do it because of attitude. Whilst I laid in the hospital bed, my father told me stories about his time at sea. Doctors happened to bring in some magazines about the sea and sailboats. I escaped out of this horrible world of a physical disability through books. And in my treasure chest, I carried one of the most important books, which was eventually to change my life. Joshua Slocum, Sailing Alone Around the World. At age 11, I read this book, and I knew that I wanted to be a sailor. I read about this amazing place called Cape Horn, at the bottom of the world, the bottom of South America. I read about these notorious Southern Ocean storms, the great adventures of man and the sea. And I remember going to my dad and saying, "Please, Dad, can we have a boat?" But my father was not earning much money. My father could not give me a boat. My mother said, "Son, stay reading, stay dreaming." "Well, Dad, if we can't have a boat, will you take me to the local yacht club?" Now let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the local yacht club. Rich, elitist, and all white. A working class boy in apartheid South Africa had no place in that yacht club. But my father had the courage to take me to that yacht club. So I went knocking in the house and said, "Please, sir, will you take me sailing?" "No." "Please, sir, will you take me sailing?" "No." "Oh, please, Bernard, please, will you take me sailing?" Will you take me sailing?
Yes.
Yes. But ladies and gentlemen, look at all the no's I went through before I got a yes. I got on that sailboat, and guess what? I got seasick. But I read in these books that even the world's best sailors sometimes get seasick. But I hung on to that vision, and I hung on to that dream. I decided that I wanted to be a sailor. I wanted to be out on that boat. How many of you have children? And when your children ask you for something, and often it's impossible for you to give it to them, you say no? They don't just roll over and say, "Sure, Mommy, sure, Daddy, you're right." They keep asking. They will keep asking, and they'll weigh you down until either you rationalize it, or you justify it, or you give it to them. Ladies and gentlemen, why? Why, when we become adults, do we quit asking? Why do we take no at face value? Let the child in you come out. Remember when you wanted something as a kid. You did whatever it took to try and get there. Today, as you look for leads, as you look for business opportunities, as you look for ways to expand, don't take no for an answer. Keep dreaming. But I believe very strongly in visuals. I said to my school friends that one day I will be a yachtsman. They laughed at me. They said, "You'll never be a yachtsman. You're a working class boy in apartheid South Africa." Well, I got a sailing jacket. And I hung that sailing jacket where I could see it. And every time things got difficult in life, I looked at this jacket. And I said, one day, I will own a boat. And I will wear this jacket with pride. It looked impossible. But again, when you have a dream in your heart, when you have passion, when you have purpose, nothing in life is impossible. At age 21, began to build this vessel, again from the knowledge of books. I did it with blood, with sweat, with tears. People said, "That boat will never be launched. You'll never make it. You'll never get there." And finally, at age 23, I stepped aboard my boat with a jacket. People looked at my boat and said, "That thing is a heap of junk. You're going to try and go where? Across an ocean on that boat? You think that you can be a yachtsman on a home-built 38-foot vessel that looks like a floating coffin?" And the media called my boat the floating coffin. People said I was going to kill myself on that boat. You can either allow the critics to hold you back, or you can choose to leave. So I decided to get onto my boat with a couple of important things and to sail away. I sailed off into the Atlantic Ocean, heading for Plymouth in England. But ladies and gentlemen, I had a little challenge. I knew where I was. I knew where I wanted to go. I did not know how to get there. I did not know how to navigate. But in life, there are no barriers. I bought a book, Celestial Navigation for Yachtsmen, and I bought a sextant. Now, don't ask me where I was for the first 10 days. I was lost. I was too busy reading this book, trying to figure out how to use this device. IBM, it's about having faith. You know where you are, and you know where you're going to take this company. You know what products you're going to create. You don't necessarily have all the answers, but you know what? You have incredible ability. You have incredible faith, not just in yourselves as individuals, but in the team. You know what you have created, and you know that you are creating the world's greatest company, changing life one day at a time. So whilst I was lost, reading a book, I found my way through knowledge. But the challenges were not over. I'd been at sea for 35 days alone. I'd not spoken to a human being. It gets lonely out there. And just when you think things can't really get any worse, they do. See, one day I stood on the deck looking for a ship to talk to. Somebody to talk to, because I did not have the technology on my boat. I had a little VHF radio that was line of sight from where I was to the horizon. So I stood on the deck tall one day looking for a ship to talk to. When the boom, the thing that carries one of the sails, the mainsail, came flopping across the deck and made perfect contact with my forehead like a golf club at a golf ball. My head was a golf ball. I split open my eyebrow. I was gushing blood. I was dying. I had a choice. I could lay there and die, 800 miles in the middle of nowhere, from no hospital, from no islands. Or I could find the spirit to live, the choice to survive and to come back with this gushing wound. I had no medical kit on my boat. Couldn't afford one. All I really had was a nice thick rusty sail needle. Could you stitch your eyebrow back together with a sail needle and some thick twine? Could you? No, nor could I. So I really had a challenge. I lay there, and I was thinking, I've got this gaping wound. I can see the bone of the eyebrow. And then, because I believe in no barriers, only solutions, I found a solution. If you apply pressure to a bleeding wound, what's going to happen? That wound is going to stop bleeding. And then if you hold that wound together for long enough, that wound is going to go back together again. So I knew I had to apply pressure and hold it together. Apply pressure and hold it together. And then the light bulb went off, and I came up with a solution. A clothespin. It holds the wound together and applies pressure. I sailed like this 800 miles to go and see a doctor. The doctor looked at the wound and said, "Son, the wound is fine, but you need psychiatry help." Ladies and gentlemen, this clothespin is a symbol to me. It is a symbol of overcoming a near-death experience to living. I had a choice. I had a choice to lie on that boat and die, or a choice to fight and live. I get hit by this big ship, and my boat is sinking. And every hour, I would go and pump. I had hundreds of gallons of water coming into my boat. Ladies and gentlemen, I spent 20 minutes out of every hour, 24 times a day, pumping to keep this boat afloat. And I did this for 15 days. Christopher, is that not hard work? But hard work pays off. I finished the race, and I finished third.
I was in awe of the spirit you drove into the audience, how you made your own journey relevant to every person. By utilizing our event theme within your presentation, you were nothing short of genius. Leslie Benway, IBM Worldwide Events.